I stepped into the executive boardroom, expecting another routine quarterly meeting. My tablet held financial reports, revised forecasts, and notes prepared after another sleepless night. Every seat around the long table was occupied. Expensive suits, polished smiles, and quiet conversations filled the room until Olivia Carter walked inside. Olivia placed a folder on the table and smiled confidently. "Good morning, everyone." Every executive answered together. "Good morning, Olivia." Olivia activated the presentation screen. Our quarterly revenue increased by 23%. Investor confidence remains strong. International expansion begins next month. Applause echoed across the room. Mason Brooks leaned back with a satisfied smile. "Outstanding work, Olivia. Carter Dynamics has never looked stronger." Olivia nodded. "Thank you, Mason." My chest tightened. Every chart on the screen looked familiar because every strategy had started on my laptop months earlier. My name never appeared anywhere. That silence had become normal. Olivia continued. "Before closing today's meeting, one personal announcement remains." The room became quiet. Olivia picked up another folder. "This announcement also affects the company's future leadership." Confused faces turned toward Olivia. Olivia looked directly at me. "Ethan, please stand." I slowly rose from my chair. My heartbeat became louder than the silence surrounding the table. Olivia opened the folder. "Today, Olivia officially announces the end of the marriage between Olivia Carter and Ethan Carter." Nobody spoke. One executive accidentally dropped a pen. Another director stared with wide eyes. Mason lowered Mason's head, hiding a smile that looked impossible to miss. Olivia walked toward me and held out several papers. "These are divorce papers." My fingers refused to move. Olivia continued speaking without hesitation. "Ethan never belonged beside Olivia. Carter Dynamics needs strong leadership, not emotional baggage." Every word felt colder than the last. Ethan contributed nothing people could actually see. Every achievement belongs to Olivia. A painful silence filled the room. Daniel Ross, the chief financial officer, looked uncomfortable. "Olivia, maybe this conversation belongs somewhere private." Olivia shook Olivia's head. "No, transparency matters. Investors deserve honesty." Mason finally spoke. "Olivia makes a difficult decision, but difficult decisions create successful companies." My eyes met Mason's eyes. The fake sympathy behind Mason's expression disgusted me. Grace Bennett quietly cleared Grace's throat. "Legal matters usually remain confidential." Olivia answered immediately. "Not today." Olivia pushed the papers closer. "Sign everything." I looked around the room. Faces that once smiled during company celebrations suddenly avoided eye contact. Years of loyalty disappeared in one meeting. I remembered working through nights while Olivia slept. I remembered missing birthdays. I remembered selling my first business to save Carter Dynamics during the first financial crisis. Nobody inside that room knew those stories. Nobody except me. Olivia crossed folded arms. "What are Ethan's thoughts?" 100 answers fill my mind. None escape my mouth. Arguing would change nothing. Begging would destroy the little dignity still remaining. I accepted the papers. My hand stayed surprisingly steady. Olivia looked almost disappointed. "Nothing to say?" I slowly picked up a pen. Every signature felt like closing another chapter of my life. The final page slid back across the table. "There." Mason smiled. "A mature decision." I looked directly at Mason. "Enjoy today." Mason laughed softly. "Today belongs to Olivia." I answered quietly. "Time changes ownership faster than confidence." Olivia frowned. "What does that mean?" I placed my company identification card on the table. "Nothing Olivia needs to worry about today." Grace watched every movement carefully. Something inside Grace's expression suggested concern instead of judgment. Olivia gathered the signed papers. "The meeting continues." I picked up my briefcase. Nobody stopped me. Nobody thanked me. Nobody remembered the countless sacrifices hidden behind Carter Dynamics' success. Every step toward the door felt strangely lighter. Pain remained inside my chest, but another feeling quietly appeared beside that pain. Freedom. The boardroom door closed behind me with a quiet click, but the sound echoed inside my mind like thunder. My hands tightened around my briefcase while I walked through the hallway. Employees smiled politely without knowing my entire life had fallen apart only moments earlier. The elevator doors opened. "Ethan." I turned around. Noah Carter hurried toward me with worried eyes. "Ethan, something looked wrong upstairs. Olivia called security before the meeting." Mason kept walking around like Mason already won something. "What happened?" I forced a weak smile. "The marriage ended." Noah stared at my face. "What?" "Olivia announced the divorce during the board meeting." Noah's jaw tightened. "In front of everyone?" I nodded. Every executive watched. Noah looked ready to storm upstairs. "Noah wants 5 minutes with Mason." I shook my head. Violence solves nothing. Noah doesn't care. I do. Noah took a deep breath. Ethan spent years protecting Olivia. Ethan built that company from nothing. Ethan sacrificed every holiday, every vacation, every personal dream. I looked through the glass windows toward the city. None of that matters anymore. It matters. No, it matters because the truth still exists. I remained silent. Noah studied my face. Ethan still isn't telling everything. I promised Olivia that my work would always stay behind the scenes. And Olivia rewarded loyalty with humiliation. My silence answered better than words. Noah lowered Noah's voice. "Mason planned this. I know. Olivia trusted the wrong person. I know. Ethan still wants to protect Olivia." I closed my eyes. Old habits don't disappear in one morning. Noah sighed. "Ethan deserves better." A familiar voice interrupted the conversation. "Ethan." Grace Bennett approached carefully while holding a sealed envelope. I hoped Ethan hadn't left yet. Noah folded crossed arms. "Grace, please tell Noah that Olivia lost every bit of common sense." Grace hesitated. "Grace can't defend today's meeting." Grace handed me the envelope. "Company legal records." Olivia ordered every personal office item delivered immediately. I accepted the envelope. "Thank you." Grace looked around before speaking again. "One more thing." I waited. "Mason visited the legal department yesterday." My attention sharpened. "Why?" "Mason requested copies of old partnership agreements." "Did Mason receive everything?" Grace slowly shook Grace's head. "No." "Why not?" "Several files remain protected." A strange feeling settled inside my chest. "What files?" Grace lowered Grace's voice. "Original company formation documents." My heartbeat quickened. I thought every copy stayed inside the executive archive. Not every copy. Grace looked directly into my eyes. "According to company records, Ethan legally owns one complete confidential archive." I stared without speaking. Noah blinked twice. "What archive?" Grace answered quietly. "The documents proving who designed the original business model, secured the first investment, negotiated the emergency rescue financing, and established shareholder protections." Memories rushed through my mind. Late nights, coffee-stained contracts, William Harrison's signature, private legal meetings. Everything suddenly became clear. I remember. Grace nodded. Those records never disappeared. Noah smiled for the first time all day. "Olivia doesn't know." "Apparently not." Grace continued. "Mason searched everywhere this morning." "Why?" "Because Mason believes every copy was destroyed." I almost laughed. Mason guessed wrong. Noah placed a hand on my shoulder. "So, what happens now?" I looked at the envelope in one hand and my briefcase in the other. For the first time in years, the decision belongs to me. Grace smiled gently. "Whatever Ethan decides, Grace believes the truth deserves a voice." I thanked Grace before watching Grace return inside the building. Noah walked beside me toward the parking garage. "Ethan." "Yes." No more protecting people who never protected Ethan. I unlocked my car, but stopped before opening the door. My briefcase rested against the driver's seat. Inside the briefcase waited a small, encrypted flash drive. That flash drive contained every confidential agreement, every signed contract, every strategy document, and every piece of evidence proving one undeniable truth. Carter Dynamics never became an empire because of Olivia Carter. Carter Dynamics existed because I quietly built the foundation with my own hands. For the first time since signing the divorce papers, hope replaced heartbreak. The game had only begun. I drove away from Carter Dynamics without choosing a destination. Every traffic light gave my mind another chance to replay the board meeting. Olivia's words still echoed inside my head, but another truth refused to disappear. Every success celebrated inside that company carried pieces of my life nobody ever noticed. My phone rang. Noah Carter. I answered. Ethan. Where Ethan in the car? I'm driving. Driving where? I honestly don't know. Come home. I need time. Noah understands, but Ethan shouldn't stay alone today. I'll think about it. The call ended, and I pulled into a quiet park overlooking the river. I remained inside the car, opened my briefcase, and stared at the encrypted flash drive. So many years, Ethan whispered. Every memory returned. I remembered selling my small consulting business to keep Carter Dynamics alive during the first cash crisis. I remembered sleeping inside the office after negotiating an emergency banking agreement. I remembered writing business strategies until sunrise while Olivia prepared speeches for television interviews. Every award landed in Olivia's hands. Every interview praised Olivia's leadership. Every magazine printed Olivia's photograph. My name stayed hidden because I believed protecting Olivia mattered more than receiving recognition. Another call interrupted my thoughts. Grace Bennett. I answered immediately. Grace, is everything all right? Not over the phone. What happened? Grace needs to meet Ethan. Where? Riverstone Cafe. 30 minutes. Something serious? Very. The line disconnected. 30 minutes later, I entered the quiet cafe. Grace already waited near the window. Grace looked nervous. I sat across the table. Grace, what happened? Grace slid a sealed envelope across the table. Mason Brooks has manipulated Olivia for months. I frowned. What does that mean? Grace found financial records that never reached the board. My heartbeat slowed. Show me. Grace opened the envelope. Several printed documents appeared. These transfers moved through consulting companies connected to Mason. I studied every page carefully. Large payments, hidden accounts, strange approval signatures. This isn't normal. Grace nodded. It gets worse. I looked up. Tell Ethan everything. Grace took a deep breath. Mason convinced Olivia that Ethan wanted control of Carter Dynamics. I stared in disbelief. Olivia believed that. Unfortunately, yes. I leaned closer to the documents. Why didn't Grace tell Ethan sooner? Grace lowered Grace's eyes. Grace needed proof before making accusations. I slowly nodded. Fair. Grace pointed toward another page. Look here. I studied the highlighted numbers. $3 million. Transferred during the overseas expansion. Mason approved everything. Officially, yes. Olivia signed these reports. Olivia trusted Mason without asking questions. I placed the papers back on the table. I warned Olivia about rushed acquisitions. Grace nodded. Grace remembers every meeting. I explained the risks. Olivia ignored every warning. I sighed. I thought pride caused those decisions. Grace believes manipulation caused most of them. Silence settled between us. Finally, I asked, does anyone else know? No. Not even William Harrison. Grace hesitated. Grace isn't sure. My thoughts became heavier. If I expose Mason now, the company could collapse. Grace looked directly at me. If Ethan stays silent, Mason keeps stealing. Both choices felt painful. I spent years protecting Carter Dynamics, and Mason used that loyalty. I never wanted revenge. Grace knows. I only wanted Olivia to succeed. Grace smiled sadly. Sometimes love becomes the easiest weapon to exploit. Those words hurt because they sounded true. My phone vibrated. An unknown number appeared. I answered. This is Ethan. A calm voice replied. William Harrison speaking. I immediately sat straighter. Good afternoon, William. I reviewed several archive company records this morning. My heart skipped a beat. I see. I would like a private meeting. What is this about? Old agreements. My attention sharpened. The original investment contracts? Exactly. When? This evening. Where? Harrison House. I'll be there. The call ended. Grace looked curious. William Harrison? Yes. What did William want? A conversation about old records. Grace slowly smiled. Maybe the truth is finally moving. I looked at the financial documents again. I still don't know whether exposing everything is the right choice. Grace folded the papers carefully. Ethan spent years carrying the company alone. I chose that path. Choosing sacrifice doesn't mean accepting betrayal. I looked through the cafe window. Rain began falling outside. I thought disappearing forever would be easier. Grace shook Grace's head. Ethan deserves more than disappearing. I quietly whispered, maybe tonight we'll finally answer every question. I arrived at Harrison House just before sunset. The large estate looked peaceful, yet my heart refused to slow down. A house assistant welcomed me inside and guided me toward a private library. William Harrison stood beside a fireplace, holding an old leather folder. Thank you for coming, Ethan. I'm glad William invited Ethan. William offered a seat. Tea? Yes, thank you. The assistant quietly served 2 cups before leaving. William placed a folder on the table. Do these papers look familiar? I opened the folder. Every page carried signatures I had not seen in years. The original investment agreement, the emergency financing contract, the shareholder protection clause. My voice became quiet. I helped write these. William smiled. Exactly. I thought everyone forgot. I never forgot. William folded both hands. When Carter Dynamics almost failed, Olivia asked for hope. I nodded. I remember. But hope alone never saved the company. I remained silent. Your strategy saved the company. I looked down at the documents. I only did what needed to be done. William gently shook William's head. Humility hides many great people. I smiled without happiness. Recognition never mattered. Recognition should have mattered. I took a slow breath. Olivia believed success belonged to Olivia. William answered calmly. Because Ethan allowed that belief to grow. Those words struck deeper than any accusation. I wanted peace, and silence created a different problem. I looked toward the window. So what should Ethan do now? William answered without hesitation. Tell the truth. I'm afraid exposing everything will destroy Carter Dynamics. William smiled. The truth may shake the company, but lies will destroy the company. I quietly considered every word. William continued. Several board members already questioned Mason Brooks. I looked surprised. They did. Yes. Why didn't anyone speak earlier? Nobody possessed complete evidence. I slowly tapped the folder. Now that evidence exists. William nodded. And Ethan legally holds the strongest pieces. My heartbeat steadied. For the first time since the divorce, my future no longer looked empty. William stood and extended a hand. Whatever decision Ethan makes, William will support honesty. I stood and accepted the handshake. Thank you. As I walked toward the exit, one realization refused to leave my mind. Silence had protected lies for far too long. For the first time, I questioned whether speaking the truth was not revenge at all. Maybe speaking the truth was simply justice. I unlocked my car, placed the old folder beside the encrypted flash drive, and looked toward the city lights. Tomorrow could change everything. For the first time in many years, I was finally ready to let the truth speak louder than my silence. I arrived at Harrison Global Holdings early the next morning. My mind remained focused on William Harrison's words from the previous night. The truth had always existed, but I had spent years hiding behind silence. William welcomed me inside the private conference room. Ethan, thank you for coming again. William, Ethan needs answers. William placed a large folder on the table. These documents explain everything. I opened the folder carefully. Inside were legal agreements, shareholder records, and investment contracts. What is this? Protection. I looked confused. Protection for who? For Ethan. I studied William's expression. Why? William leaned back. Because years ago, Ethan convinced Harrison Global Holdings to invest in Carter Dynamics when every other investor walked away. I only presented the business plan. No, Ethan showed courage when others saw failure. I looked down. Olivia never knew about this. Olivia knew Ethan helped the company, But Olivia never understood the full impact. Why keep everything hidden? Because Ethan never wanted power. I remained silent. William continued. Ethan wanted Carter Dynamics to survive. Recognition was never the goal. I touched the documents. So Harrison Global Holdings became the largest shareholder because of that investment? Yes. My eyes widened. Nobody knew. Only a few legal representatives. Not Olivia. No, not Mason. Especially not Mason. I slowly closed the folder. Why reveal this now? William looked serious. Because Mason Brooks is damaging everything Ethan helped build. I looked toward the window. Grace already found suspicious transfers. William nodded. William received reports about unusual acquisitions. Mason pushed those deals. Exactly. My hands tightened. Olivia approved those decisions. Because Mason convinced Olivia those decisions would increase company value. I sighed. Olivia always trusted confidence more than warnings. William studied my face. Ethan still cares about Olivia. The question hurt because the answer was complicated. I care about the person Olivia used to be. William nodded. That difference matters. The conference room door opened, and Grace Bennett entered carrying several files. Sorry for arriving late. I smiled slightly. Grace, everything all right? Grace placed the files on the table. Grace found more evidence. I opened the new files while Grace organized the documents across the table. What did Grace find? Grace pointed toward several pages. Financial reports were changed before reaching the board. I carefully checked the numbers. Mason altered projections. Yes. How certain? Grace compared original reports with final reports. William looked concerned. How much damage? Grace answered. Millions could disappear if these acquisitions fail. I closed my eyes for a moment. This is bigger than personal betrayal. Exactly, Grace replied. I looked at William. If Ethan exposes Mason, investors may panic. William nodded. That is possible, and employees could suffer. Grace leaned forward. But staying silent allows Mason to continue. I understood the difficult choice. For years, I believed patience could fix everything. I believed loyalty could change people. I believed protecting Olivia meant protecting the company. Those beliefs disappeared after one public announcement. William asked quietly, "What does Ethan want?" I looked at the documents. I don't want revenge. Grace watched carefully. Then what does Ethan want? The truth. William smiled. That is the difference between revenge and justice. I gathered the files. No angry actions. Good. No public attacks. Good. Only facts. Grace nodded. Grace will help collect everything. William stood. Then the next steps must remain quiet. I understood immediately. Mason expected an emotional reaction. Mason expected me to fight with anger. I would not give Mason that advantage. Later that afternoon, Grace and I reviewed every contract, every transfer, and every report. Grace pointed at another document. Look here. I moved closer. This signature. Mason approved this personally. Yes. And Olivia? Olivia signed without reviewing the details. I felt disappointed, but I refused to let disappointment control my actions. Prepare copies. Already done. Secure everything. Grace will handle it. That evening, I watched online news showing Olivia announcing Carter Dynamics' next expansion plan. The headline praised Olivia's leadership. I turned off the screen. The world still believed Olivia created the empire alone, but the truth was slowly moving forward. The following morning, Mason entered the office expecting celebration. Instead, several board members declined Mason's private meeting requests. Mason called one director. Why won't the meeting happen? The director answered. Schedule changed. Mason frowned. Who changed the schedule? No comment. Mason ended the call. For the first time, fear appeared behind Mason's confidence. The silent counterattack had begun. I received an unexpected message while reviewing the final evidence with Grace. The message contained an official invitation from Carter Dynamics. I opened the email slowly. Emergency shareholder meeting scheduled for tomorrow, Grace read aloud. My heartbeat increased. William expected this. Grace nodded. Grace believes this meeting is the moment everything changes. I looked at the invitation again. Olivia and Mason will be there. Yes. Then Ethan needs to stay prepared. Grace placed the evidence folder beside me. Every document is organized. Good. I closed the folder. I spent years building something without asking anyone to notice. Grace smiled. That humility helped create success. It also allowed others to take credit. Grace looked serious. Tomorrow is not about taking credit. Then what is tomorrow about? Tomorrow is about protecting the truth. I nodded. For the first time in years, I felt calm instead of fear. Meanwhile, Mason continued searching for answers that remained hidden. Mason contacted board members repeatedly, but most conversations ended quickly. Mason noticed the sudden distance and started questioning every decision. Mason called Olivia. Something feels wrong. Olivia answered confidently. Nothing is wrong. The board members are avoiding Mason. Olivia became quiet. Maybe everyone is busy. Mason disagreed. No, something changed. Olivia tried to stay calm. Focus on the expansion. Mason looked at the documents on the desk. What if Ethan is involved? Olivia laughed. Ethan left without fighting. Mason remained uncertain. He knows more than anyone. Olivia ignored the warning. Tomorrow's meeting will prove everything is under control. The call ended. I received another notification before leaving the office. The invitation included one final message. All shareholders must attend. I saved the message and looked at the city lights outside the window. Tomorrow would decide whether silence continued or truth finally arrived. I placed the evidence beside my documents and prepared for the meeting that could change Carter dynamics forever. The battle had not started with anger. The battle had started with patience. And now, patience was ready to speak. I walked away from the window, knowing one thing clearly. The truth no longer belonged in the shadows because every hidden decision would soon face judgment before the people who built everything. I arrived at Carter Dynamics before the emergency shareholder meeting started. My hands remained calm, but my mind remembered every moment that brought me there. The same building where Olivia announced our divorce would now decide the future of the company. Grace walked beside me carrying the evidence files. Ethan, everything is ready. I looked at the folder. Good. No emotions today. Grace nodded. Only facts. Inside the main conference room, Olivia stood near the presentation screen. Confidence filled Olivia's voice as shareholders entered. Today will prove Carter Dynamics is moving forward. Mason smiled beside Olivia. The company needs stability. I quietly took my seat. Olivia noticed me. Ethan, surprising appearance. I received an official invitation. Olivia smiled. This meeting is about business. Exactly. Mason looked uncomfortable for a moment. Ethan should understand this meeting has nothing personal. I looked directly at Mason. Truth is always business. Before Olivia could respond, the conference room doors opened. William Harrison entered with several lawyers. The entire room became silent. Olivia quickly stood. William? This was unexpected. William placed a folder on the table. Important situations require important decisions. Mason forced a smile. William, everything is under control. William looked at Mason. That statement requires evidence. The lawyers placed documents in front of every shareholder. I watched investors open the files. Grace stood. These documents contain financial reports, transfer records, and acquisition details. Olivia looked confused. What is this? Grace answered calmly. Evidence. Mason's expression changed. Evidence of what? Grace opened another file. Hidden financial transfers connected to companies controlled by Mason Brooks. The room filled with whispers. Olivia looked toward Mason. Mason. Mason immediately responded. This is a misunderstanding. William remained silent. I watched years of hidden actions finally reach the table where decisions mattered. The meeting had officially begun. Grace continued presenting the evidence while every shareholder examined the documents. These records show Mason approved transactions without proper disclosure. One shareholder looked shocked. Mason, is this accurate? Mason shook Mason's head. No, someone is trying to damage Mason's reputation. William opened another folder, then explained these signatures. Mason looked at the papers. I can explain. Please do, William replied. Mason became quiet. I watched Olivia carefully. For the first time, Olivia looked uncertain. Grace continued. These acquisitions created serious financial risks. Mason personally benefited from several decisions. Olivia slowly turned toward Mason. Did Mason know about these risks? Mason avoided eye contact. Olivia, this is complicated. No. Answer the question. The room became silent. Mason finally spoke. Every business decision includes risk. I leaned forward. Risk is different from hiding information. Mason looked at me. Ethan planned this. I calmly answered. Ethan collected facts. Mason laughed. Everyone knows Ethan hates losing. I looked around the room. I don't hate losing. I hate watching people destroy something built with sacrifice. William nodded. That is why Ethan belongs in this conversation. Olivia stared at me. Was this the plan all along? I shook my head. No. Then why didn't Ethan tell Olivia everything? The question hurt, because Ethan believed Olivia still cared about the company more than personal pride. Olivia looked away. Grace placed another document on the table. There is more. Everyone looked toward Grace. This agreement proves Ethan's original strategic designs were used during Carter Dynamics' first expansion. A shareholder picked up the document. Ethan created these plans? William answered. Yes. Another shareholder looked surprised. Why was Ethan never publicly recognized? I remained quiet. William responded. Because Ethan never requested recognition. The room became still. William continued. Years ago, Ethan convinced Harrison Global Holdings to invest when Carter Dynamics had almost no future. Olivia's expression changed. Ethan never told Olivia. No, William replied. Olivia looked at me. Why? I lowered my eyes. Because helping Olivia succeed was enough. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then William stood. Leadership requires integrity, responsibility, and honesty. William looked around the room. Power without character destroys everything it touches. Mason looked nervous. The meeting was no longer about saving Mason's position. The meeting was about deciding who truly deserved to lead Carter Dynamics. William placed the final document on the table. Shareholders must now decide the future leadership of Carter Dynamics. Olivia immediately stood. Before any vote happens, Olivia wants to explain. Everyone looked toward Olivia. Olivia took a deep breath. I believed Mason because Mason showed confidence. I ignored warnings because Olivia believed success required bold choices. The room stayed silent. Olivia looked at me. Ethan warned Olivia many times. I did not answer. Olivia continued. Ethan was right. Those words carried more weight than any apology. Mason quickly interrupted. This is unfair. William looked at Mason. Unfair is using trust for personal gain. Mason stood. William, you cannot remove Mason without proof. Grace calmly opened another file. Proof has already been provided. The lawyers beside William nodded. Mason looked around the room. Nobody supported Mason anymore. William turned toward the shareholders. The vote begins now. One by one, shareholders made their decisions. The room remained quiet after every vote. I watched the numbers appear on the screen. When the final vote appeared, the result was clear. A shareholder stood. The majority supports new leadership. William nodded. The board accepts the decision. My breathing slowed. I never imagined standing in that room again. Not as someone rejected, not as someone forgotten, but as someone finally recognized. William faced me. Ethan Carter. The board appoints Ethan Carter as the new chairman of Carter Dynamics. The room filled with applause. I remained still for a moment. The same people who watched my humiliation now watch my rise. Olivia stared at the announcement screen. A mixture of shock and regret appeared on Olivia's face. Mason looked completely defeated. Security entered the room. Mason immediately reacted. You cannot do this. William answered calmly. Mason Brooks, pending investigation. Mason is removed from all company responsibilities. Mason looked toward Olivia. Olivia, say something. Olivia remained silent. For the first time, Olivia had nothing to say. The security team escorted Mason away. The conference room slowly emptied. Grace approached me. Ethan, congratulations. I looked around the room. This doesn't feel like victory. Grace understood. Because Ethan never wanted revenge. No. Then what does Ethan want? I looked at the Carter Dynamics logo on the wall. To make sure nobody else gets hurt because of someone's pride. William smiled. That is exactly why Ethan should lead. Olivia remained near the table. Ethan. I turned around. Olivia looked different. Not like a powerful CEO. Not like someone who controlled every room. Just someone finally understanding the damage caused. Olivia needs to talk. I looked at the empty chairs around us. Not today. Olivia lowered Olivia's eyes. I walked toward the door, knowing one thing. The position was never the thing I wanted. The respect was. And after years of silence, my voice finally mattered. I watched the news from my office window. The headlines that once praised Carter Dynamics now focused on the leadership scandal. Former CEO Olivia Carter faces company downfall after internal investigation. I turned off the screen. The company survived, but Olivia's reputation had collapsed. My phone rang. Noah Carter. Ethan, have you seen the news? Yes. Everyone is talking about Olivia. I know. Noah knows Ethan feels something. I looked down at the city. Feelings don't disappear because someone hurts you. Noah became quiet. Ethan still cares. I cared about the Olivia who stood beside me before success changed everything. That person caused pain too. I know. A pause followed. Noah continued. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. I understand. Forgiveness doesn't mean rebuilding broken trust. Those words stayed in my mind. I won't destroy Olivia. Good. But Ethan also won't return to the past. Noah sighed with relief. That is the right choice. Later that evening, Grace visited my office. Ethan, Olivia requested a private meeting. I looked surprised. Olivia? Yes. Why? Grace believes Olivia wants closure. I leaned back. After everything, people sometimes understand value after losing something. I looked toward the empty chair across my desk. Tell Olivia to come tomorrow. Grace nodded. Grace believes Ethan is making a difficult choice. I don't want revenge. Everyone knows. I only wanted Olivia to understand. Grace quietly answered. Sometimes understanding arrives too late. The next afternoon, Olivia arrived without the expensive clothes, assistance, and confident attitude I remembered. Olivia stood near the office door. Ethan. I looked up. Olivia. Silence filled the room. Olivia slowly sat down. Olivia doesn't know where to begin. Start with the truth. Olivia lowered Olivia's eyes. The truth is Ethan was right. Those words surprised me. About what? About everything. I remained silent. Olivia continued. Ethan warned about Mason. Ethan warned about risky deals. Ethan warned about trusting people who only cared about power. I felt old pain return. Why didn't Olivia listen? Olivia whispered. Because Olivia believed success made Olivia smarter than everyone else. I looked at Olivia sitting across from me. The person who once controlled every room now looked uncertain. Olivia, what changed? Olivia took a deep breath. Losing everything. I stayed quiet. Olivia continued. After the investigation started, people who called Olivia a friend disappeared. That happens when relationships are built on power. Olivia nodded. Olivia finally understands. I looked away. Understanding doesn't repair everything. I know. The honesty surprised me. Olivia placed both hands together. Ethan, Olivia ignored every sacrifice. I felt my chest tighten. Which sacrifices? Olivia looked at me. Every night, Ethan worked while Olivia accepted awards. I said nothing. Every problem Ethan solved while Olivia received praise. The memories returned. The empty offices. The unfinished dinners. The promises that never happened. Olivia's voice became quieter. Ethan gave years to Carter Dynamics. I chose that. Because Ethan loved Olivia. The room became silent. I looked at the floor. Yes. Olivia wiped a tear. And Olivia used that love. I wanted to deny it. I wanted to remember better days. But the pain was real. I don't hate Olivia. Olivia looked surprised. Really? No. Then why does Ethan feel so distant? Because love and trust are different. Olivia lowered Olivia's head. I destroyed trust. Yes. I destroyed the person who always stood beside Olivia. I looked at Olivia. I was lost for a long time. I know. No. Olivia doesn't know. My voice became heavier. Ethan stopped recognizing himself. Olivia became silent. For the first time, Olivia understood the damage. I'm sorry. The apology was simple, but the wounds were deep. I believe Olivia regrets everything. Then why can't Ethan forgive? I can forgive. Olivia looked up. But forgiveness is not the same as returning. Olivia's eyes filled with sadness. I hope there was a chance. I had hope once too. The silence between us carried years of memories. Olivia stood slowly. Olivia deserves this. I shook my head. Nobody deserves pain forever. Then what does Olivia deserve? To learn from mistakes. Olivia nodded. That sounds like Ethan. I almost smiled. Maybe. Before Olivia reached the door, the phone rang. Noah called. I answered. Ethan, everything all right? Yes. Noah immediately understood. Olivia is there? Yes. A pause followed. Noah wants to remind Ethan. I know. Forgiveness is strength. I looked toward Olivia. But rebuilding trust requires more. Exactly. I ended the call. Olivia looked curious. Noah still protects Ethan. Yes. Even after everything. Some people stay because loyalty matters. Olivia looked down. I forgot that. I walked Olivia toward the office door. The hallway remained quiet. Olivia stopped before leaving. Ethan. I turned around. Yes. Does Ethan hate Olivia? The question carried more sadness than fear. I thought about the years together. The dreams. The promises. The betrayal. No. Olivia looked surprised. No. I don't hate Olivia. Then what does Ethan feel? I looked through the window beside the hallway. Pain. Olivia lowered Olivia's eyes. I understand. I wanted Olivia to succeed. I know. I wanted Carter Dynamics to become something special. And Olivia destroyed the trust behind that dream. I nodded. Yes. Olivia took a slow breath. Olivia spent years chasing success. Success is not wrong. But success without loyalty destroyed everything. I looked at Olivia. That is the lesson. Olivia opened the door. Will Ethan ever forgive completely? I already forgave. But the past stays in the past. Olivia accepted the answer. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Olivia. After Olivia left, I returned to my office. The room felt different. Not because Olivia left. Because I finally stopped carrying the weight of old memories. A few minutes later, Noah entered. Noah saw Olivia leaving. I nodded. Olivia apologized. Noah sat down. And Ethan, I listened. That's all. That's enough. Noah smiled. Ethan chose peace. I chose myself. Noah nodded. That matters. I looked at the company documents on my desk. Months ago, those papers represented betrayal. Now, they represented a new beginning. Grace entered with updated reports. Ethan, company recovery numbers are improving. Good. Employees are responding positively. I want everyone to feel respected. Grace smiled. That is why people trust Ethan. I looked outside. The same city that watched my humiliation now watched my transformation. The revenge I once imagined never happened. I didn't need revenge. Mason faced the consequences of personal choices. Olivia faced the consequences of forgotten loyalty. And I finally faced the person I had ignored for years. Myself. The next morning, I attended the company meeting as chairman. Employees filled the room. I stood before everyone. I know Carter Dynamics experienced difficult changes. The room remained silent. But this company belongs to every person who works here. Applause slowly started. I looked around. For years, I believed victory meant proving someone wrong. Now I understood something different. Victory meant becoming someone stronger after being broken. Olivia lost a company position. Mason lost power. But I gained something more valuable. I gained peace. And that was the one thing nobody could ever take away. Months passed after the shareholder meeting, and Carter Dynamics entered a new chapter. Every morning, I walked through the same building that once carried my deepest pain. Now, the same halls carried hope. Grace Bennett entered my office carrying employee reports. Ethan, the latest feedback is positive. I looked through the documents. What changed the most? Employees feel respected. I smiled. That was always the goal. Grace placed another report on the desk. Departments now have open communication meetings. Good. Managers are receiving leadership training. I nodded. A company cannot grow if people are afraid to speak. Grace smiled. That belief changed the entire culture. I looked outside the window. For years, people worked hard without recognition. Now everyone knows effort matters. The door opened, and Noah Carter entered. Ethan, security division updates are complete. I turned toward Noah. How is everything? Better than expected. Noah placed a folder beside Grace's reports. The new security system protects employees and company information. Good work. Noah smiled. Leading this division feels different. Why? Because this time, the mission is protecting people, not just protecting property. I nodded. That is exactly what Carter Dynamics needs. Noah looked around the office. Ethan changed everything. I only created the environment. That is leadership. Later that week, William Harrison requested a private meeting. I entered William's office and saw a familiar smile. Ethan, sit down. Is everything all right? William nodded. Everything is better than all right. I smiled. Then why the serious face? William laughed. Because today I announce retirement. I looked surprised. Retirement? Yes. After everything William did for Carter Dynamics? William nodded. Now it is time for the next generation. I remained quiet. William continued. Ethan, watching this company grow under Ethan's leadership has been my greatest reward. I looked down. I still remember the day everything collapsed. And I remember the day Ethan rebuilt. William believes Ethan became the leader this company always needed. I smiled. Thank you. William stood. No. Thank Ethan for proving character matters more than power. The annual shareholder meeting arrived faster than I expected. The same room where Olivia announced our divorce now prepared for a completely different moment. I entered the conference room wearing the chairman badge. The board members stood. Good morning, Ethan. I nodded. I remained alone in the conference room after everyone left. The silence felt peaceful instead of painful. Months earlier, that same room witnessed the end of my marriage. Today, the same room reminded me how much my life had changed. Grace returned, carrying the final meeting documents. Ethan, everything is complete. I accepted the folder. Thank you. Grace smiled. Carter Dynamics has a future people can believe in. I couldn't rebuild everything alone. Nobody leads alone. I nodded. That lesson changed my life. Noah entered with a relaxed smile. The building is clear. Good. Noah looked around. This room feels different. It does. Why? Because fear no longer lives here. Noah laughed softly. Ethan finally sounds free. I finally am. William joined us one last time. I wanted to say goodbye before leaving. I shook William's hand. Thank you for believing in me when nobody else did. William smiled warmly. Ethan earned that belief. Grace looked at William. Carter Dynamics will always remember William. William nodded. I leave without regret because the company now belongs to honest hands. After William walked away, I stood beside the window overlooking the city. I thought about every difficult choice, every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every betrayal. None of those moments defeated me. Instead, those moments shaped the leader I became. I quietly smiled. The greatest revenge had never been destroying Olivia. The greatest victory had been becoming someone no betrayal could ever break. I understood that titles could disappear. Money could disappear. Relationships could end. But character remained. That truth mattered more than every promotion, every award, and every headline. I walked through the office one final time before going home. Employees smiled. Some thanked me. Others simply waved. The respect felt genuine because nobody offered respect out of fear. Everyone offered respect because trust had returned. I looked back at the Carter Dynamics logo one last time. My journey started with heartbreak. Ethan said quietly, "My journey ends with hope." I switched off the office lights and walked toward the exit with peace in my heart. The future no longer frightened me. The past no longer controlled me. For the first time in many years, I wasn't defined by betrayal. I was defined by the choices I made after betrayal. That became my greatest victory. The end. Good morning. Grace walked beside me. Ready? I looked around the room. More than before. The shareholders began arriving. Among them, Olivia entered quietly. No assistants. No cameras. No confidence built from a title. Only Olivia. Olivia took a seat at the end of the room as a minority shareholder. I noticed the silence between us. Grace whispered, "Are you all right?" I nodded. "Yes." Seeing Olivia here, it reminds me of where everything started. Grace looked concerned. "And where does Ethan think everything ends?" I looked toward the board. Not with revenge. The meeting began. I presented company results. Over the past year, Carter Dynamics increased stability, improved employee conditions, and rebuilt investor trust. The shareholders listened carefully. One board member stood. "Ethan's leadership transformed the company." Another shareholder nodded. "The communication changes created a stronger organization." I looked around the room. Years ago, nobody listened to my ideas. Now people respected my decisions. The presentation ended. The room became quiet. William Harrison stood. "I want everyone here to remember something." Everyone looked toward William. "A successful company is not created by one person." William looked at me. "It is created by people who choose responsibility over ego." Applause filled the room. I noticed Olivia watching silently. The same board members who witnessed my humiliation now stood and applauded my leadership. The moment felt strange. Not because I wanted Olivia to suffer, because I realized something important. I no longer needed Olivia to understand my value. I already knew my value. After the meeting, Olivia approached slowly. "Ethan." I turned around. "Olivia, congratulations." "Thank you." Olivia looked at the crowded room. "Everyone respects Ethan now." I answered calmly. "Respect comes from actions." Olivia nodded. "Olivia finally understands." I remained silent. Olivia continued. "The person Ethan became after losing everything is stronger than the person Olivia knew." I smiled slightly. Pain changes people. Pain changed Ethan. Yes. Olivia looked toward the company logo. Olivia spent years chasing a title. And Olivia forgot the person behind the title. I accepted the honesty. That realization matters. Olivia nodded. "Goodbye, Ethan." "Goodbye, Olivia." Olivia walked away. This time, I didn't feel anger. I only felt closure.